But the New York Knicks are the most surprised team to me in basketball right now. They should be a number 6 seed without Julius Randle. But
Robinson missed most
of it. OG missed games. Brunson has been the best basketball player in the Eastern Conference by far.
That, of course, was Kenny the Jet Smith gushing over Jalen Brunson. This is a picture of the guy who should win this year's National Basketball Association MVP award. And this is a picture of the guy who's actually going to win the award. Welcome to the Underrated, as always, North America. I am Dave DeBaugh. Now, on today's show, we are going to talk about why Jalen Brunson could win this year's NBA Most Valuable Player award. I will do my best to attempt to make an argument for Jalen Brunson versus, of course, the Joker, versus Luka, versus Shea. Hey, so many of you out there during these types of discussions completely forget about the numbers Giannis has put up this year. And then, of course, there's Jason Tatum. That is today's discussion on the big show. Hey, listen, if you haven't had a chance to check out our big sports website at underrated.media, do check it out. We are dumping some money into it. All right, to the content we go. Now, Jalen Brunson certainly has put together an absolutely fantastic season so far for the New York Knicks. I mean, he's played so well down the stretch that the Knicks actually have a legitimate chance still of ending up with the second spot in the Eastern Conference. Now, they are currently third in the East with 2 games to play. Milwaukee is first, and we know Giannis is going to be out for the rest of the season. To put what Jalen Brunson has done in perspective, he's averaging well over 28 points a game. But in the month of April, and I think the month of April is what we need to talk about, because it's not just the month of April, it's basically what he's been doing since the All-Star break. But in the month of April, Jalen Brunson is averaging 35 points a game and 9.6 assists a game. That's nearly 10 assists a game for Jalen Brunson. Now, statistically, when we take a look at Jalen Brunson's season numbers, and if we were to compare those to Luka Doncic, who should win this year's Most Valuable Player award, but isn't because, quite frankly, nobody had him on their bingo card at the start of the season. I mean, everybody had Joel Embiid and the Joker, and then Shea Gilgeous-Alexander ended up playing great early in the season, and people started to whisper a little bit about Shea potentially having a chance. Everybody completely ignored what Giannis was doing in Milwaukee. And then we had Jalen Brunson starting to sort of creep up to the point where today, with just 2 games to go in the regular season, he has officially entered the National Basketball Association Most Valuable Player conversation. Look, I'm not saying he's going to win, but he's absolutely entered the conversation. Now, people across the media are talking about Jalen Brunson as potentially being in the conversation. And Tim Legler from ESPN actually has good old Jalen Brunson in the conversation as well. Legler has him as his fourth best player related to the Most Valuable Player award this season. He has him solid in at 4, which of course he has the Joker winning it all. And if I were to sit down with Tim Legler, maybe we could grab a cocktail at a bar someplace, I'll buy him some expensive whiskey, and I'll pull up the stats between what the Joker has done and what Luka has done. Now, the defense for the Joker certainly will be the fact that the Nuggets are once again in first place in the Western Conference, and the Dallas Mavericks' best case scenario with 2 games to go is they somehow weasel their way into the 4th spot. But the fact that they're in the 5th spot at this point, and the fact that the Dallas Mavericks have been playing as well as they've been playing basically since the All-Star break, they are 9-1 in their last 10. Down the stretch they go to the Dallas Mavericks. Luka Doncic and, of course, Kyrie Irving and the rest of that supporting cast, which includes some important deals that were made at the trading deadline to bring in Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington. Those pieces have certainly solidified the Dallas Mavericks as, quite frankly, a legitimate contender in the Western Conference. Look, the Denver Nuggets are clearly the best team in the Western Conference. Still, when you look at the historical, and I'm using this term correctly in this particular case, when you look at Luka Doncic's historical numbers, nobody in the history of the National Basketball Association, or as I like to call it, the association, has ever averaged 33, 9, and 9 for a season. In fact, at one point, I thought he was going to be able to finish at 34, 10, and 10. But with 2 games to go, that's not going to happen. He could end up at 34, 9, and 10 before the end of the season. Those numbers are historical. Now, what has Joker done this year differently than what the Joker has done in previous years? Now, he's averaging 26.6 points a game, 12.4 rebounds, and 9 assists a game. So what's the difference? He's averaged a little bit more on the point side before, but it's basically a wash. And he's averaged a little bit more on the rebound side in the past as well, but that's also a little bit of a wash. But his 9 assists a game, I mean, last year when he lost the award to Embiid, he was averaging 9.8 assists a game. In the year he won the award, the last time he won the award, he averaged 7.9 assists a game. You know, one of the beautiful things about watching Joker play is all the little things that he does. And quite frankly, that's probably why he's going to end up winning this award. But statistically, look at Luka's number. Now, once again, Luka was not part of the early conversation early in the season. After the train wreck that was the Kyrie Irving deal last season, which of course has turned into the opposite of a train wreck this season, heading into this season, nobody had Luka there. So where are we at when it comes to Jalen Brunson? Now, Jalen Brunson is a different kind of player than a Giannis, and he's a different kind of player than, of course, some of the other players. I mean, he's a different kind of player than a Luka, and he's certainly a different kind of player than a Jokic. Those are, Jokic and Giannis are big guys, and Jalen Brunson is a small guy. He's not going to get the same kind of rebounds that a Giannis is going to get, that a Joker is going to get, that even a Luka Doncic is going to get. Him and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander both fall into that. We're just not big enough to get those rebound numbers up to those MVP forward center caliber numbers. That's really what it comes down to. But when you look at the pure guts, and when you look at how hard Jalen Brunson plays, and when you consider the fact that the New York Knicks have a chance of finishing in, I can't believe I'm going to say this, finishing in second place in the Eastern Conference this season, you really do have to start to consider that Jalen Brunson certainly beats out a Jason Tatum that has all the talent in the world around him, whereas Jalen Brunson has Dante DiVincenzo. Jalen Brunson has Josh Hart. I mean, nothing against those guys, but they're not, Jaylen Brown. They're not Kristaps Porzingis. Like, ultimately, when you look at the points and you just look at the stats, you have to sort of draw a line in the sand and consider the kind of position they're playing and what they actually mean to their team. I can make the argument that Jalen Brunson is as important to his team as the Joker is to the Denver Nuggets at this point. Take away the Joker, and are they really going to be competing for an NBA title? The answer is no. Take away Luka from the Dallas Mavericks, and you know what you end up with is a Dallas version of the Brooklyn Nets minus Kevin Durant. So you end up with a team that, quite frankly, won't have a chance of probably even making the playoffs. Kyrie can't carry a whole team by himself. You know, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, we haven't given a lot of love to here, has done an absolutely fantastic job, and I certainly could make the small guard argument for him to win or to be part of this conversation as well. But just look at the pressure that Jalen Brunson has been under. I mean, SGA has J-Dub. SGA has the young Chet Holmgren, who's, blocking, 2.5 shots a game. I mean, the roster differences between all of these teams is pretty dramatic. Like the Knicks, it's not like I'm crying poverty for the New York Knicks roster, but what Jalen Brunson has done from a leadership perspective should not be underestimated. Now, I don't think he's going to win the award this year, and I think in order for him to actually win this award some year, he's going to have to average probably north of 33 points a game. Assume he has, huge assist numbers on top of that, and then his team is going to have to actually win the Eastern Conference. All right, that is it for today's Underrated. Tell me what you think, North America. I want to hear from you. Please go ahead and drop your comments in. Also, once again, shameless plug time, but do check out our big sports website at underrated.media. Sign up for a newsletter. Really one of the best newsletters in all of sports. Check all of that out when you have a chance. For the Underrated, I am Dave DeBaugh, wishing you all a tremendous rest of your sports viewing day. To the guitar riffs we go.